Maritime Made is presented by Nova Scotia Business Inc., helping businesses across the province grow through export. For more information, novascotiabusiness.com.
Many a teenager dreams of being a rock star. But you can't be a rock star without an instrument. And the most popular instrument of choice? The electric guitar. You could buy yourself a mass-produced guitar from your local electronics store. But a real star requires something a little more unique. Something a little more rock and roll. Mark Suibhne of Suibhne Guitars in South Ohio, Nova Scotia, is a luthier. His job and passion is making custom electric guitars. Probably the most important part of an electric guitar is the neck. Mark uses a fine piece of hardwood as his starting point. First, a scarf joint is cut in the neck blank using a bandsaw. A scarf joint allows the head of the neck, the place where the keys are located, to have a slight angle from the neck itself. Once cut, a hand plane is used to match the two cut pieces of wood. One piece is then flipped over to create the angle. And the two pieces are then glued and clamped. Once the neck is dried and the required shape of the neck has been cut out, a channel is routed down the center to accommodate the truss rod. The truss rod allows the shape of the neck to be adjusted so the correct string height or action can be achieved. Next, the fretboard is made. First, a piece of thin wood, usually exotic hardwood, is cut to length. It's then attached to a jig using double-sided tape. The jig helps the luthier cut the slots for the frets in exactly the right place. If the cuts are not exact, then the tone of the guitar will sound wrong. Once in place, precise cuts are made in the fretboard using a Japanese handsaw. Inlays are also drilled, then inserted into the fretboard. These can be used by the guitarist as reference points for various notes. Once the inlays are set and glued, the fretboard is glued and clamped to the neck. Once dry, the fretboard is radiused. This is done using a curved sanding block and simply curves the fretboard for a more comfortable fit. It's now time for the metal frets to be cut to length and pressed into place on the fretboard. Later, the frets will be beveled and filed for comfort. Now the neck is fully assembled, it's time to sand and shape the entire thing to ensure playability. The guitar's body is usually made from 2 or more pieces of wood that are glued together. Once dry, a template is used to draw the basic shape. The blank is then cut on a bandsaw. Once cut, the template is taped to the blank and a router is used to create the final shape. A drill press and router is then used to cut the various holes and channels for the electronic parts, such as pickups and dials. Lastly, the craftsman will spend many hours sanding the guitar head. He'll then apply a finish coat of lacquer or oil, depending on the desired finish. Now that the entire guitar has been finely sanded and finished, it's time for assembly. There are many parts to an electric guitar. First, the tuning keys will need to be attached to the head of the neck. These are used to fine-tune each string to the correct note. On this guitar, there are 6, but some may have 4 or even 12. The electronics are then installed and then tested to ensure they're grounded correctly. Poorly installed electronics will create a hum in the electronics, which affects the final sound. Once everything is installed and tested, the guitar is assembled and ready to be shipped to the customer. Of course, before it's shipped, Mark tests every guitar to make sure it meets his strict quality requirements. Mark also makes handcrafted guitar picks, a great gift for any budding rock star.